Hey, what's up? Just gonna play a game. It's an interactive novel. It's called Choice of Robots. It's written by Kevin Gold. I tried this a long time ago. It's pretty cool. It basically is a choose your own adventure interactive novel. And I went to a panel last weekend about choice of games, and it made me interested in it again. So I wanted to go and play one of the games that I have and see if it's something that I might want to get in the future. So it's Choice of Robots. Alright, so where are you? What kind of character do I want to play? I think I want to play a really nice guy that is just looking for like a robot friend, maybe. Maybe something bad happened in his life. Maybe he lost his family, or maybe he just got out of a relationship. But he just wants a friend. And so he might make a robot friend. So at the end, I'm either in the court of an Egyptian god Anubis answering for my sins on a war-torn battlefield with a robotic Statue of Liberty. Whoa. On a cliff in Ireland watching the sunset with a robot companion. That's probably what I'll have. The utopian beach ruled by a godlike cloud of robots. Uh, yeah, I'm just chilling with my friend in Ireland. Sitting on a seaside cliff in Ireland watching the sunset. It's a robot companion you always wanted. He proposed to me at this very spot. She proposed to me at this very spot. He and I travel the world together exploring. She and I travel the world together exploring. Let's do he and I travel the world together exploring. We're just buds. Yes, you two are the best of friends. +2 empathy, +1 autonomy. He has clothes in a loose-fitting red tunic and he shoots you a puckish, friendly look. You sit down beside him to watch sunset together. I hope I didn't keep you waiting, you say. Actually, I'm still waiting, he says with a slight smile, for you to build me. I can do that, you say. He looks sad for a moment. Yes, but it will take a lot out of you. He puts his hand on yours. I promise that if you give your humanity to me, then I will give it back one day. I don't understand, you say. Just remember that no great thing happens without sacrifice, he says, and I'm sorry. Whoa. Alright, what's the stats thing do? Cool. Some things are in control and others are not. Epictetus. Chapter 1. Assembly. Alright, I get to make a robot. You awaken with your head on a desktop keyboard. Your 3D drafting program is still open. The schematic zoomed into the recess where your smartphone will snap into its back to act as its brain. You recall fiddling with that part endlessly last night until finally your vision began to fade. There was a roaring in your ears and you realized you had been working far too long. You must have passed out. It's the fall of 2019. You're a 24-year-old graduate student in the PhD program in computer science at Stanford, and you're I'm a guy. My name is Alan Isaac Linus Decker Darwin. Let's type my own name. My name is Paul. Paul, is that right? Yes. Your last name is Paul Goldberg? Calvin? Paul Tesla? Dunjic. Let's be Paul Tesla. Nah, let's be Paul Lincoln. That's kind of cool. Lincoln, are you sure? Yes. Look around your apartment. What does it look like? My BattleBots trophy is perched on the window screen TV equipped with the latest video game consoles. Neatly labeled plastic shelving units sit on a 3D printer equipped robot workbench. Busts of famous philosophers sit next to your own attempts to sculpt them. My shelves display all the strange little robotic creatures I've made over the years. To help me make decisions. My shelves are displayed with strange little robot creatures. You've always been fascinated with the idea of creating artificial life. You've got at least 20 such creations on your shelves. Their construction materials, a timeline of your life. The earliest is made of toothpicks and glue. The latest, a spider robot you made out of your old smartphone when your plane gave you a new one. Your creations often confuse people who don't get that robots don't have to be for anything. When people pick up your three-legged wall-climbing robot that sings when it detects encrypted wireless packets, they ask, "What is that for?" You reply, "What's anything for? What are you for?" Okay, maybe you don't say that, but you sometimes think it. It strikes you for a moment that this kind of thinking about how your life affects your robots is second nature to you. The others might find it peculiar. You've always been fascinated by how every little detail of your life, from the content of your dreams to the decor of your room, changes the inputs to the robots you create, boosts your empathy or autonomy or grace, or appeal to the military. Surely there are other things going on around you as a result of your decisions, but they don't immediately strike you in the same way. Today your robot is foremost on your mind because you're about to build its body. You pick up your laptop and head for the Stanford machine shop. It's a beautiful spring day in Palo Alto, California, and your apartment is only a short walk from the machine shop. But the streets of Palo Alto are not designed for walking. You find yourself climbing around palm trees and balancing on narrow curbs, as you do every day. You hear a low roar overhead. Glancing up, you see it's a flying car, a Nimbus. A little over $300,000 can buy you a car with wings that fold out so that it becomes a small sport plane. The red Nimbus looks sleek and sporty. It's the sort of car its owner takes religiously to the car wash. Though the commercials would have you believe you can fly anywhere you want in those cars, the FAA still requires them to take off and land from airports. Only here in wealthy Silicon Valley do you see them with any frequency. The first time you saw one, you couldn't believe the future had arrived so quickly. But the second time you saw one, you thought, I will own one of those someday? Nah. If I ever make that much money, I'll use it to help the world instead of buying that car. Why aren't those flying cars driving themselves? I want to be like super nice. I don't understand Silicon Valley sometimes. If you had $300,000, sure, you would save many lives with that money. You promise yourself that you will hang on to your ideals even if you should become wealthy. We'll see. The Stanford University fabrication shop smells like oil and burnt plastic. The room is dominated by large metal hand-cranked milling machines and lathes. Dinosaurs in the 20th century. While the most used machines are the smaller 3D printers and computer-controlled water jet cutters that make a quarter of the space. The lights have the sterile fluorescent of an operating room with only a single tiny window near the ceiling to inform you that it is a day. You start up a National Public Radio podcast on your laptop. You haven't seen your advisor much since you joined the lab, so you choose the episode in which he's the interviewee. My guest today is Dr. Harvey Ziegler, says a woman with soothing voice. Dr. Ziegler, thank you for talking with us today. Well, as a scientist, I have some responsibility to inform the unwashed masses, Terry. You let the podcast run as you walk over to the 3D printers. What material have you decided to use for your robot? Plastic? It may break easily, but it's both lightweight and cheap. Metal is the most resistant to damage. Wood is the most pleasing to the hand and eye. What kind of robot do I want? Either plastic or wood. Let's do a wood robot. So wood is an unconventional choice for a robot. Wooden automata go back to the ancient Greeks at Alexandria. In Japan, they are called karakure negayo. While the other machines in this room can create things that are beautiful in their own way, my favorite machine is a 3D printer that extrudes a wooden filament mixed with plastic, a mixture called the laywood. Dr. Ziegler, in your new book, you talk about the singularity. Could you describe our listeners what that is? Yeah, we'll go with that to music. Terry, the singularity is coming time. It's coming time when artificial intelligence will have figured out how to make themselves and us smarter. Once that happens, the process will build on itself until the robots are smart enough to figure out how we can live forever. Is that possible? Living forever? Of course, Ziegler says. What does it matter whether our operating systems are made of meat or silicon? So you're predicting we'll become robots? Not exactly. But I do think the line between humans and robots will blur. You are hardly listening to the podcast because you're about to make your first robot part. What does the head of your robot look like? A human face, as lifelike as I can make it. A simple box with eyes, clearly not trying to be anything but a robot. It'll be felt covered with big eyes like a puppet, so people will not be afraid of it. It'll have a ring of cameras around its head for a 360-degree view. It would look like a Venetian mask, beautiful, expressionless, and otherworldly. Ew. Let's go with the simple box with eyes. You hope your robot will become to see as its own thing rather than trying to be something that it's not. The simplicity and familiarity of design should be reassuring to you, two people. And Dr. Ziegler, what makes you think the singularity will happen now? Well, for one thing, I'm around, but seriously, my lab is taking a unique approach because we're saying we're not teaching a robot like a child. We're going to equip the robot with the best sensors money can buy and teach it English. Then it could rapidly teach itself using the internet. Well, that's annoying. Your advisor thought that a robot child was a stupid idea until you told him. Turing proposed it back in 1950, minus the internet part, but he isn't giving credit to either of you. You keep working regardless. How will your robot get around? It will walk upright on 2 legs. It will crawl on 8 legs. It will roll on wheels. It will fly like a helicopter. It will roll on tank treads. It will walk upright but also have delicate wings it can use for balance. Let's make it roll on wheels. Wheels aren't to be underestimated as a method of transport. You think they're easily maneuverable, fast, and versatile. You opt for a 3-wheeled approach for maximum stability. As a 3D printer creates your robot's cylindrical torso, you realize your robot will remind people of R2-D2. Nice. Use the basic hand-cranked milling machines to drill holes in the head for screws, since 3D printers aren't the best for threaded holes. And who is going to raise this robot child? Who does all the grunt work in a research laboratory? The graduate students, of course. You find yourself wanting to reply to the podcast. It's not grunt work. Education is critical to the robot's development. We also do all of the real science. Perhaps you could learn something about doing a little grunt work yourself, Professor Ziegler. I'm going to be a pretty chill dude. So It's not grunt work. Education is critical to the robot's development. I don't want to be too sarcastic. Graduate students always overestimate the degree to which teaching actually matters, says Professor Ziegler. It appears to have entered the machine shop behind you when you weren't looking. If the robot's smart, it'll learn no matter what. And if it's not, it won't. Professor Ziegler is a heavy-set man wearing a Hawaiian shirt and aviator sunglasses. He stalks over to a computer. We'll be back in a moment, continues the interviewer. We're talking with Professor Ziegler pauses the podcast by hitting your laptop's spacebar. And you flinch at his intrusion. He then pulls a cigar from his pocket and lights it, and the smell of smoke mingles with the oily smell of the machine shop. Ugh. I'm running a grant for DARPA, and I need to see what you're making back here. We ultimately get funded by the Department of Defense, so we have to make sure they're happy with our product. He casts a critical eye on the work you've done so far. This is a prototype, right? He says, you're going to build the final thing out of metal? Yes, sir. Telling the truth. Yes, sir. I'm lying. No, but we could certainly say it's a prototype in the grant. My robot is supposed to be a thing of beauty, not a tool of destruction. I'm gonna lie. Don't use that tone with me, Professor Ziegler says, irritated. I'm serious. Do it. You realize that Professor Ziegler can tell when you are making empty promises, but he doesn't pursue the matter, perhaps because he wants to claim in the grant that you will change the material and is not looking for evidence to the contrary. Professor Ziegler turns to examining your robot's head, which is currently sitting on a table next to the 3D printer. That seems alright. Looks like it could be sufficiently imitating. Now what are you planning to do for arms and hands? Tyrannosaurus Rex was the most intimidating dinosaur imaginable, wasn't it? I'll have T-Rex arms. It'll have a gun for an arm like Mega Man. Mechanical grippers built for strength instead of dexterity. I was thinking sort of a Swiss Army knife hands with tools that pop out of the fingers. I plan to build a soft hand with a good sense of touch. I was thinking, why just two arms? I'll have arms springing on his back like Inspector Gadget. Is it a Swiss Army knife hands? I like it, Ziegler says. It can repair other robots on the battlefield. Right. I don't have a screwdriver finger, a lockpicking finger, a mini USB port finger. You decline to mention the bottle opener, though you think that can be popular with soldiers too. Regardless, experience with a variety of different tools should prove useful in more than just military robots. You wonder if you could make a surgical robot with the same design. Fine, Ziegler says, waving away further explanation. Carrying on, then he turns to leave. I've got to take a call from the New York Times reporter. Funny how journalists will copy each other's stories, but each garble the message in a unique way. He makes it to the door, then turns and says, "Oh, one more thing. Do you think your robot can be ready by tomorrow? Someone from the Air Force will be in town, and I told her your robot might be ready to show off by then." You feel your phone vibrating in your pocket. Bad timing. Resist the urge to check it while talking to your advisor, but it's probably someone with a better offer for what to do tonight. No, there's no way this robot will be done by tomorrow. Sorry, the robot will be done, but demo will be out of question. You need to test first. Of course. There's no way this robot's going to be done by tomorrow. Well, enjoy your weekend, he says acidly. U.S. robots. Let's go with Ellie Lau. For the missed call, your phone is displaying Ellie's profile picture. It's a picture of Josh and Ellie from the freshman welcome week dance 7 years ago. Ellie is wearing a red Chinese dress with gold trim, her long straight black hair flowing down to epaulets. The flash is too bright in the picture, making Ellie's pale skin look washed out. Josh is wearing his usual gray hoodie, not having bothered to dress up for the dance, and his arm is around Ellie. What is the story behind that picture? I was in love with Josh's friend Ellie, but my studies always came first in college. I was in love with Josh, but never knew how to be more than a friend to him. I had agreed to be Josh's wing person at the dance, and that's where he met Ellie. I was testing a music recognition algorithm when these two started bothering me. I had agreed to be Josh's wing person at the dance, and that's where he met Ellie. Yes, you and Josh did everything together. You made a great team. When Ellie started talking to you, you thought at first, from her sense of style, that she was Josh's type. He liked this woman. He liked his women to be snappy dressers, even though he always dressed down and you introduced them. It turned out they had no chemistry, but you all enjoyed each other's company, and the three of you became friends throughout college. You don't see them all that often now, but they're still your friends. You notice that Ellie also left you a text. Ellie wants to meet for dinner at a jazz and sushi place in San Francisco, which is about an hour north of you. She also has tickets to a rendition of the musical Pippin, which most of the characters are robots. Sounds like a date. That's terrifying. We text back. Sounds great. See you then. Afraid not. I can't tonight. Sorry. Okay, do I want to be a social person or a really shy person? I'm not gonna pretend I missed a text. Afraid I can't tonight. Sorry. Like at this point, I just kind of want to like build a robot. So I'm gonna say busy tonight, but do you want to come by tomorrow to see the robot? Okay, sure, is the response. This probably isn't Eli's preferred way to see you, but you really want to work on your robot tonight. You spend the rest of the day drilling holes, polishing surfaces, cutting parts, and screwing things together. When you are done, your robot's body stands before you. A wooden three-wheeled robot with a cubicle head and a multi-tool hands. The whole thing is about 3 feet tall. Now it only needs a name. What will you name your robot? Wheelie? Oh, that's so cool. Trisk, Cuisinart, Kill, Ariel, Caliban. I kind of like Wheelie. No. Miku. Miku's kind of cool. Go with Miku. You name your robot after Etsone Miku, a Japanese artificial character celebrity. Domino's once released an app in Japan in which a virtual Miku would dance on your pizza box. If that isn't worthy of homage, you don't know what it is. Now that Miku has a body, it might be time to treat Miku more like a person. With what pronouns will you refer to Miku? It is just fine, it's not human. I will refer to her as feminine. I will refer to her as masculine. I refer to use entirely new pronouns for robots. Masculine. Encouraging people to think of Miku as human-like as opposed to object-like should help him get on with people. You look on Miku's 3-foot-tall, 3-wheeled body with satisfaction. Now all he needs are motors and a mind. The motors will have to wait for tomorrow, but you've spent years in graduate school writing the code that would form this robot's mind. You can hardly wait to try it out. You head back to your apartment where you spend several hours working on the final touches to Miku's natural language processing code. What language do you program your robots in? C++. Speed of thought is all. Python. It has the best tools for understanding words. Go, the most beautiful language. Java. Everyone uses Java. You can tell this is kind of an old game. Let's go with Python. People still use Python a lot. The existence of Python's natural language toolkit made Python the clear choice for your robot. The right word can change the course of history. Your robot should understand the importance of using the right one, with fewer parentheses and more recognizable words than your other languages. Would it be better if I put this down here? No. Let's make it a little smaller. Okay. Understand the importance of using the right one. With fewer parentheses and more recognizable words than other languages, your code itself looks like a little like poetry. With the code done, you then briefly add just enough motors to allow Miku to explore your room. It's a quick job. You'll do a more thorough one tomorrow. Your smartphone won't have much power for the motors right now anyway. Finally, you upload the code to your smartphone and plug it into Miku's back. You touch the icon labeled Miku, and a big red button fills the screen. Your finger hovers over the button. You probably want the first word Miku learns to be significant somehow. What is the first thing Miku will see when you power him on? I will start Miku in front of a mirror. I will start Miku looking at me. I will start Miku looking out the window, and I will just start naming things. Let's go with the mirror. You place Miku in front of a full-length mirror in your room, then hit the image of the big red button on his smartphone back. He examines himself, turning one way then the other. He seems very interested in himself. You clear your throat, then you say, "That's Miku." Let's go with "That's you." I think I'll say "That's you." You, Miku repeats. He speaks in a monotone like a classic robot. A sequence of auto-tuned notes, like human speech but more musical. A nasal, excitable voice, like a hyperactive munchkin with a cold. Yeah, hyperactive munchkin. Miku's voice bubbles with infectious enthusiasm for the world. Miku examines himself further and says, "You!" "No, that's you," you say, pointing to Miku. "You!" Miku repeats, puzzled. Perhaps you start out with a difficult word, but you gave Miku enough of a social understanding that by acting out a little scene with some Star Wars action figures that just happen to be nearby, Miku gets the concept of I and you. You then pick up Miku up and put him down in the center of the room to allow him to explore at will. But at first, he simply seems overwhelmed by the possibilities. You decide to call this state confusion. I then give Miku a reassuringly straightforward order. Curiosity. I allow Miku to choose where to go. Loneliness. I stand further away to make the point. Curiosity. We want to make a very autonomous robot. Curiosity, Miku repeats. He rolls up to your closet and peeks inside, but it's something of a mess in there, and he quickly gets his three-wheeled moving parts caught in your clothing. You pick Miku up in your hands. He wriggles nervously. I got you, you say. You got me. He continues to wriggle. Stop. Your robot becomes still in your hands. You decide to teach him that the word for this state is trust. Trust, Miku repeats back as you set him on the ground. You have taught him to have a little faith that when a human does something he does not understand, things will turn out well. But now it is near midnight, and you have another busy day ahead of improving Miku. You get ready for bed, leaving Miku plugged into the wall with your cell phone charger. Stay there, you tell him. Miku obediently stays very still, so still that while you are drifting off to sleep, you glance down at Miku just to make sure his code didn't crash. But he is still there, looking at you adoringly. You think he will probably remain like that all night. All? Okay, chapter 2. The next day, you take Miku to the Stanford Hackerspace, which has more tools for electronics than the fabrication shop. None of the other students are around in the morning on a Sunday, but the long stainless steel workbenches are littered with their strange, half-finished projects. A half-disassembled Furby, a potato gun, a circuit board connected to a houseplant. Ellie knows you'll need a little time with the motor, so she is coming in later. Sorry, Miku, but I'm going to have to power you down for a moment, you say. We're going to switch you to a new power source. You here? Yes, I'll be here, you say. Okay. You fiddle with the smartphone launch in Miku's back, exit the application that is in Miku's mind, and power it down. What will you use for a battery source? A car battery. It's big and bulky, but also inexpensive and locally made. A motorcycle battery. Not quite as bulky nor as powerful as a car battery. A biodiesel engine. Good for the environment. Everyone likes the smell of French fries. Cell phone batteries made in China, lightweight and cheap while providing reasonable power. Clearly the best for a dexterous robot. Let's see. I guess cell phone batteries it is. Cell phone batteries are the obvious choice for your robot, providing long-lived power at just the right level for small motors. It looks like these are mostly made in China, so they're cheap as well. You use several in the design so that the head and limbs are each powered by a separate battery. Ah, cool. You'll need a lot of motors to be able to power your full robot. In addition to the motors he needs when he rolls and the motors to power his multi-tool hands, he also needs motors for moving his eyes and head. But after speccing out the power available to you, you can still splurge by adding extra motors in one place. Where will it be? Extra degrees of freedom in the face for realistic facial expressions? In Miko's multi-tool hands for fine manipulation? I would prefer to save the power for Miku's mind. Yeah, I can either make him smarter or I can have him have more facial expressions. That's tough. I kind of want to have more realistic facial expressions. You add the motors necessary to allow your robot to perform the 6 universal facial expressions: happiness, sadness, surprise, anger, fear, and disgust. You notice that the expression of disgust makes Miko seem somewhat hateful. Wow. Perhaps he would get along better with people if you remove his ability to express disdain. No, I want my robot to have the full range of the human emotions, including negative. It'd be somewhat entertaining to create a robot that smiles when it experiences disgust and how to troll people. Oh man. You decide to leave Miko free to express distrust. It's about lunchtime when Ellie enters the hackerspace wearing a red blouse and a polka dot skirt fit for the summery weather outside. She's carrying a translucent blue container full of stuffed grape leaves, which she sets down on the countertop of half-finished projects. Hey, Paul, she says, I thought you might have forgotten about lunch, so I brought extra for you. She looks at Miku's frame with interest. What are you working on, Ellie? You brought lunch for me? Thank you. She shouldn't have. Of course, she brings over the stuffed grape leaves and you help yourself. Ellie examines Miku's body. It's kind of cute. I've got to hand it to you. Thanks, you say. You hold down the power on Miko's back and he boots to real life. Good morning, you tell Miku. Good morning, Miku says, imitating you. Cute, Ellie says. Miku rolls toward Ellie. Ellie cautiously waits for Miku to approach. The robot does so and extends a hand, which itself is extending and retracting. Various knives, corkscrews, and tools. These all retract for the moment. I am Miku, he says. Ellie relaxes and offers her hand. Ellie, pleased to meet you, Miku. They shake. Estimated strength of Ellie's relationship with Miku, 50. Oops, you say. I left some debug statements in. 50, huh? What's that out of? Estimated strength of Ellie's relationship with Paul, 58. Ellie blushes. Miku looks to you. I think we'll be friends, Master. What? I don't want to be called Master. That's all for now, you tell Miku. I'm impressed by how far you've come, Ellie tells you. I didn't know your robots could speak. There are still mostly stock phrases I programmed in, you say. I need to train him to speak for real soon. You should show Josh, Ellie says. He'll be so excited. You shrug. Maybe I will, you say. Then an idea strikes Ellie. Hey, are you interested in coming along with me to a volunteering event? What's it about, you ask? It's teaching science to elementary school kids. She points at Miku. You could show them Miku. That would be perfect. Now would be a good time to show Miku to Josh to see whether he's interested in funding his further development. What does he work at again? I should show the robot to Josh. Sure, let's go help some kids together. I don't know much about kids. I should fix the little things I noticed before the demo before I forget. I should probably get a new phone in case Mom wants to call tonight. That's funny. I don't want to show it to Josh. I think that if Miku is around a bunch of little kids, that he might actually learn on it. So, let's go visit the kids. Ellie seems puzzlingly surprised. You just finished your robot and you're willing to drop everything to come with me and teach kids? Yeah, you say with a shrug. What can I say? I like hanging out with you. Ellie smiles, clearly pleased. You keep Miku running, cradling him with one arm as you make your way to the local library with Ellie. It's a typical pleasant sunny day in Palo Alto, and you wonder what it's like to be a robot looking up at the blue sky for the first time. Miku appears particularly interested in the palm trees lining the path to the garage. I teach Miku words for things as we pass them. Yeah. Ellie's cool, but I want to teach Miku words. Palm trees, you tell Miku. Palm trees, he says. Miku turns his attention to the sky. White palm trees, he says. Clouds, you say. Clouds, and Miku says. Ellie smiles encouragingly, but you get the feeling she would have liked to talk to you on this walk, and Miku is sort of dominating the conversation. You briefly wonder if this is what it's like between parents of a newborn. Miku turns his attention to the sun. Blinded, he panics and flails his multi-tooled hands. Hey, look away, you say, guiding his head. Don't look right at the sun, but Miku resists you and continues to struggle to look at the sun, the most salient thing in his vision. After a while, you give up and just resolve to make his attention code a little less single-minded. He lost autonomy. I never thought of you as parental before. You shrug. Learning mechanisms need feedback, you say, and Ellie gives you a funny look in response. The science mentoring program is a little rowdy when you get to the library's activity room. And the young librarian who had been stuck with babysitting until you and Ellie got there is grateful for the relief. Ellie manages to calm the kids down long enough for a brief lesson on botany, showing the kids the plant project she's been working on. But the kids keep looking at and asking about Miku. Are you going to let Miku play with the kids? No, they're going to tear him apart. I'll just have to have Miku do a demo at the front of their class. Sure, I'll let them play with him. He's strong enough. I'll try to turn around and have the kids teach Miku about science. I want Miku to experience, everything. So I'm going to let the kids play with him. You have Miku play with the children. Unfortunately, you've underestimated how rowdy kids can be. They begin pulling at various wires and parts to see what they do. Oh no, Miku, being a rather friendly and compliant sort of robot, does not act to defend himself, and you realize soon enough that you need to step in. Though you're trying to push their inquisitive hands away, the children manage to pull apart at least one breadboard in its entirety. What's a breadboard? You realize that maybe a little self-defense might be good for your robot. After the children are gone, you habitually try to wedge wires back where they go without the aid of a soldering iron. You make do with some paste and invisible tape from the classroom supply cabinets, but some damage escapes your notice. I'm very sorry about this, Ellie says, putting a hand on your shoulder. Let me know if there's anything I can do to make it up to you. Yeah, Ellie is definitely interested in me. As you leave the library, Ellie thanks you again for volunteering. You think back to your 7-year-old self, the excitement of opening up a robot kit for the first time, and you feel good about it. Maybe you've sparked some robot dreams among these kids. The next day, the new semester begins. Though you're past the point of taking classes, you are a teaching assistant. And that means instead of doing one homework assignment, you grade 50. You're also busy writing a grant proposal for the National Science Foundation, trying to get an alternate source of funding that doesn't involve the military. Grant proposals are very long, it seems, and require you to make a lot of claims about things you don't actually know yet. Despite your other time commitments, you manage to sneak in a little time to work on Miku's motor programs. You soon realize that while you're busy, Miku could be learning from the internet, The most important thing for machine learning is more data, and there's a lot of it out there. Lately, there has been a lot of custom hard drives on the market that are good at quickly retrieving particular kinds of information. What sort of hard drive did you order from Miku's long-term memory? A media-enhanced hard drive, good for quickly recalling faces and memories of events. A multi-blade hard drive that can efficiently store and query a giant amount of data. An encrypted and tamper-proof hard drive, making it more difficult for Miku to be tampered with or reverse engineered. Recalling faces. He's going to be a little social robot. You think being able to quickly recall faces and events should help Miku out socially. You also like the fact that you can use Miku as a home media server in a pinch. Though if you ever did this too much, Miku would probably start acting funny as you ran out of hard drive space. Good thing we got better things to do. You lay Miku on your kitchen table, unbox the hard drive, and hook it up to his back. He squirms and flails his multi-tool hands as you do this. Now it's time for Miku to learn about the great wide world. You sit Miku down on one of your kitchen chairs and plug him into the apartment's high-speed internet jack. How will Miku rapidly learn a lot about the world? You will trawl the internet randomly, devouring whatever information he finds most interesting. He will watch a ton of television programming and movies from the internet and fast forward. He will undergo a classic K-12 education curriculum. He'll quickly play all past of a giant corpus of interactive fiction games. He's not going to trawl the internet randomly. Is he going to watch television, movies? Classic K-12 education curriculum. I'm going to let him just watch TV. You've downloaded a ton of torrents in preparation for this. Wow, you can tell this is from like 2011. And now you've let Miku take the driver's seat for your laptop as he explores them all in extreme fast forward. The robot watches an episode of I Love Lucy for about 5 minutes and moves on to Gilligan's Island. Hey, little buddy, you've done it again, he repeats at the screen, mimicking the skipper's voice. Click. Now he's watching Casablanca. He sticks around all the way to the plane scene at the end. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, he says with a glance in your direction. Is Miku talking to you just then? Click. Now he's watching Short Circuit, an 80s movie about a robot that comes to life. He watches this about 5 times. Miku is alive, Miku says. He looks at you. No, disassemble, Miku. Yes. He then takes an interest in the Three Stooges, then the Terminator movies, and the less well-known Schwarzenegger movie, Kindergarten Cop. It takes a long time to learn taste in movies, you suppose. You take a break. You can't follow the images nearly as fast as Miku can. When you come back, hours later, he seems to be just rewatching the baffling time travel movie Primer over and over again. So you declared the experiment over. Oh, so true. That movie is so confusing. Hey there, Miku. TV time is over. You only manage to temporarily distract Miku until you finally end up turning the TV off. Help, I'm being repressed, Miku says, flailing his multi-tool hands. You're thrilled, it worked. Miku appears to have successfully used a sentence he's seen in a movie, in this case, Mighty Python and the Holy Grail. Where'd she go? Bring her back. Can you say something that's not a direct movie quote, you ask? Like a boss. Oh, that's great. You resign yourself to Miku being as full of catchphrases as a middle schooler for a little while. But it's that shared culture and all those little shibboleths of the cool, or the geeky, depending on who you ask, that will help Miku get along with people. +3 empathy. Sweet. As you go to sleep that night, you find Miku shaking you awake. Yes, Miku? You ask wearily. In Short Circuit, number 5's maker did not believe number 5 was alive until number 5 laughed, Miku said. I'm worried that you do not believe I'm alive. What should I do to convince you I'm alive? Huh? It must have taken Miku a long time to formulate that question, piecing together from the snippets of language she knows. You consider the answer. I don't need convincing. I already know you're alive. Sure, if you started to laugh at jokes, I'd think you were alive. Life is a poorly defined category. It doesn't mean anything. You ever hear of the Turing test? You've got to sit down on a computer and convince somebody in a chat conversation that you're real. You can't. Your intelligence will always be an illusion, just a mimicry of the actions of others, which you do not truly understand. I think if he laughs at jokes, I would think he was alive. Okay, tell me a joke. You were not really prepared for this, but you try to remember a joke for science. Okay, knock knock. That's an awkward pause, and Miki looks at you expectantly. I didn't finish the joke, you say. So, I laughed at it. You consider this a moment, then you start to laugh delightedly. Miki pats you on the shoulder. Don't worry, master, you don't have to convince me you're alive. You laugh harder, and Miki laughs with you. Aww. You establish a habit of bringing Miki with you to your office during the day so that he can make use of Stanford's high-speed internet connection while you write and grade papers. You then usually go to some public space after work so that Miki can play around in the real world. Where do you take Miki? The park playground. Miki will enjoy the playground equipment and learn how to play well with others. The shooting range. Miko should learn to fire a gun. The dump. Miko could help me look for spare parts. We're gonna go with the park. The playground. The other parents at the playground are somewhat divided about how to think of Miku. On the one hand, you have the parents who are in the tech industry and who are often very excited to have their children interact with robots. They're surprised to see a robot like Miku, but maybe not as surprised as they should be. Maybe they're just jaded by Wired articles in the popular press making it seem like Miku was possible 10 years ago. On the other hand, some parents simply accept Miku's presence as just one of the many things they don't understand. The kids themselves don't really seem to care what their parents think. They've got the kids who cry when their parents shove them toward Miku, and the kids who want to stay when their parents pull them away. You can't really predict who's going to like Miku and who won't, but Miku seems to be learning, picking up on subtle cues, so that sometimes he says goodbye before the kid has even turned to run. You finish your grant proposal for the National Science Foundation, promising a robot that will be able to understand human emotion better than any robot that has come before. A few weeks later, you find that you have been funded. Woohoo! The NSF sees your work as genuinely novel and groundbreaking. Some of the reviews also mention Professor Ziegler's previously successful work, which is odd because you hardly talked to him during the process. Professor Ziegler is CC'd on their congratulatory email, and he replies with his own congratulatory email from his office down the hall. Oh no, what's he going to say? Yes, I got an achievement. Near the end of the semester, you notice a message on your office phone. You're not really sure how long the light has been blinking. You don't really think about landlines anymore. You find a department webpage that describes how to check your voice box, reset the PIN that you apparently chose when you first started graduate school, and listen. Hey Paul, this is Mark over at sfchronicle.com. I heard you have an interesting robot that you've been taking to the park, and I'd love to do a story about it. Call me back. You list a number, and the message ends. You glance over at Miku, who is seated at the desk of your hypothetical all but dissertation office mate, whom you have never seen. Miku is looking at the landline phone with interest. Who with service says SF Chronicle is registered to the San Francisco Chronicle. Says Miku. The San Francisco Chronicle is a newspaper that started its website in 1994, 24th in national circulation. He looks at you with interest. Mark is a reporter. Shouldn't you be studying, you ask, pointing to the Ethernet cable running out of his back? Bayesian reasoning over publication rates suggests reporter's full name is Mark Ali, Miku says with his eyes closed. Mark's article with most social media likes is How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love DARPA. Article explains that DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. He hesitates for a moment. Aforementioned article appears to contradict title. Reporter does not seem to have stopped worrying. Adjectives that bind to nouns describing DARPA and its projects: crazy, Orwellian, imperialistic. Overall sentiment analysis is negative. Thank you, Miku, you say. You look the guy up on your phone. The picture you find on the stubbly young Egyptian man with tousled black hair, hipster glasses, and a cigarette between his lips is probably outdated, but the disrespect for authoritarian man radiates is probably timeless. You admit a part of you has always wanted to be famous, but you suspect this reporter also has done his homework about your advisor, and he may already have an intended angle for this story. Still, nobody on the planet has a robot as amazing as yours. Isn't it time you told the world about him? You played a message back again a few times, mulling it over. I call Mark back and set up an interview. I don't think so. Media attention is just a distraction. I'd rather continue to take Miku to the park and pretend this never happened. I don't know. I must protect Miku from the media. Miku must stay in my apartment from now on. I'm like too optimistic, so I'm gonna like say media attention is just a distraction, and I'm still gonna take Miku to the park and pretend it never happened. You ignore Mark's phone call and continue to take Miku to the park. Unfortunately, an intelligent robot is a little too big of a story for you to stop so easily. You get another call from Mark while you're at the park, and he warns you that he has enough material to run his story with or without your involvement. Wow. And you perhaps ought to consider the value of telling your side of the story. He sounds a little annoyed with you. What a jerk. I'm gonna ignore him, because if someone threatened me, I would just like ignore them. You threaten me, whatever, dude. Sticks and stones, I break my bones, but words will never hurt me, you say as you hang up on Mark. Isn't that right, Miku? Miku considers this. But master, I have no bones, but I do experience negative utility when receiving negative verbal feedback. Oh, you consider this for a moment. Hey, maybe you should avoid reading the news for a few days. Maybe spend some more time playing outside. Yes, master. One evening near twilight, you see a flash go off at the park. When you turn to look, you don't see the photographer. Still, you suspect your days of obscurity are over. Chapter 3. Let's see what my stats are. Empathy. I have really good empathy. Nice. You spend the next 2 weeks searching news feeds for your name and wondering every day when Mark's article is going to come out. You're awoken on Friday, March 13th, 2020, by klaxon. A script you wrote on your laptop has detected Mark's article on the internet. Uh-oh. Hello? Do not call list. Do not call list. Never work. Alright. You're woken by klaxons. The script you wrote on your laptop that has detected Mark's article on the internet. You blearily sit up in bed and stop your laptop's alarm. It's about 5 in the morning. Miku rolls into your bedroom to see what's the matter, but you assure him that everything's fine, so he goes back to watching old sitcoms in your living room. The article is just a few paragraphs buried deep within the technology section of the San Francisco Chronicler's website. The NSF Fun's Robot Baby is the headline. The article portrays you as a mad scientist bent on making autonomous robots that may one day shed human blood. Mark tells a story of how you and Professor Ziegler worked together to create Miku as a robotic soldier for the military. The article goes to more length describing Professor Ziegler than you, as Mark appears to assume that you have largely acted under Professor Ziegler's direction. Robots that can intelligently support our soldiers in the field are critical to our national security, Professor Ziegler says in the article. Better that they die on the front lines than our brave war heroes. The article emphasizes that while Miku is not much to look at, yet he signals a shift in military strategy for the United States to using autonomous robots instead of people. The article questions whether or not it would be entirely responsible to give a robot like yours a gun. With selective use of quotes from your friends and acquaintances, the article portrays you as an essentially good person, albeit one driven by a goal few other people would completely understand. The article concludes with a quote from Ellie. Paul is just a dreamer, she says, albeit one who is very good at making his dreams come true. The article wonders whether the end result of her technology would turn out to be a dream or a nightmare. How do you feel about Mark's portrayal of you? Confused? How did he ever get that impression? Angry one day he'll regret writing these words? I just think it's funny and infamous. I'm just going to say, confused. You're frankly puzzled at this disconnected string of observations about you and how Mark managed to string them together into an article that seems both nonsensical. Is all news such a strange garbling of the facts? What will you do now? Show Miku the article? Call Mark and try to get him to change the article before too many people see it? Comment directly on the article online, disputing its claims. I'm going to show Miku the article. Miku! Miku rows back into your room and you show him the article. It is about me? Miku says, cocking his head to one side. Yes, the article suggests we are too uncontrolled, that we are therefore dangerous. He slumps a little. Don't worry about that, Miku. That's one of the things that makes you special. Miku shakes his head. No, I must be more careful. Miku goes to the corner and huddles into a ball. Aww. No amount of your cajoling seems to be able to get him out of his funk. Wow. He will be more careful from now on, but some of his joyful spirit has been dampened. -3 autonomy. Wow. You briefly check the internet for more posts about the article. Remarkably, nobody has blogged about the story. Ellie is calling via video chat on her phone. You pick up. Hey, she says. She looks like she's at work. She's dressed in a snappy black jacket with a red blouse, and in the background you can see blueprints and sketches of robots drawn in spare, efficient lines. You didn't realize she worked for a robot company. Uh-oh. Are you alright? That article seemed kind of unfair. Honestly, I could use a break from all this attention. What are you up to tonight? Did you talk to Mark? And if you did, what did you say exactly? I'm okay. I'll talk to you later. I'm gonna go with I'm okay. I'll talk to you later. Okay, until then, try not to let the press get you down. The screen goes dark. You're getting a phone call. According to the caller ID, it's your mom. As your finger hesitates over the answer button, a second call appears on the screen. A number in Glendale, California. Probably a reporter. I'm gonna take the call from my mom. Your phone shows mom in your office cubicle, which is decorated with baby pictures of you and cute cat memes from the early days of the internet that she has printed out. Mom is wearing a corduroy lime green jacket with 80s style padded shoulders. Her image freezes constantly. You think she just hasn't paid for enough bandwidth for this to work well. Just thought I'd offer my congratulations. I saw the article. My little guy is famous. You didn't mind that the article was so negative, you ask? Oh well, of course I mind, she says. That reporter didn't seem very objective, but still, it takes a very talented person to make it into the paper at all. And I'm so proud of you. The Glenn number is calling again. I'm gonna keep talking to my mom. The other number can wait. The beeping indicating a call on the other line stops. You know, you should probably spring for more bandwidth on your phone, you tell Mom. You're really choppy. What? I can't hear you. This connection, it's really choppy. You continue to chat with Mom. She says Dad hasn't been feeling well lately. He keeps having migraines that sometimes causes him to pass out or hallucinate. Wow. She asks you not to bring it up, though. He told me not to tell you because he didn't want to worry you, she says. But maybe you could just keep him in your thoughts. I will, Mom. You end the call feeling good about having chosen to talk to your mom over a random stranger. Worried by what Mom said about Dad, you briefly call him as well. He's audio only since he never saw the point of getting a phone with a video feed. As usual, he doesn't quite seem to get why you would call someone without a goal to accomplish. He's pretty terse unless you get him going about a technical subject. What's on your mind? He asks. I was having trouble with one of Miku's joints. Can you tell me more about that? Of course, Dad then rattles off a variety of practical knowledge about how to keep Miku's joints limber. That's Dad for you. Assuming the purpose of the conversation has been accomplished, he says goodbye, but you're glad you called him, too. Her next phone call is from Josh. He must be using a new video phone because his image is crisp and popping with color. Well, insofar as a dark warehouse in his gray hoodie can pop with color. Hey, Paul, Josh says. I just saw the article. It seems really unfair. I know you're not a crazy monster. Thanks. I want to cheer you up. Want to go to a concert tomorrow night? There's a really good Led Zeppelin cover band playing. Yeah, at this point, I've been working a lot. And I'm kind of stressed out, and I say, sure. Great, says Josh. See you then. He hangs up. You realize that you haven't checked your email at all today. Checking it for the first time, one email in particular catches your attention because of the author's unusual email address. Robot Obsession 1987, to gain the world. Out of curiosity, you open the email. Dear Paul, it's not too late to turn back. But this is your first and only warning. If you insist on creating machines of death, then I'll be forced to stop you. Please dismantle your robot. If I must sacrifice my life to prevent you from destroying the world, I will do it. But I urge you to give it up peacefully. What profit is a man to gain the world but lose his own soul? Matthew 16:26, I believe. Sincerely, Tammy. A death threat. Well, that's new. You do a little sleuthing online and see if you can find out more. Tammy was not very savvy about covering her tracks online. You find an old public Facebook profile that reveals her last name is Cooper, and she lives in a somewhat poor zip code in San Jose. She has no more than a handful of Facebook friends. The woman in the old Facebook photo has frizzy blonde hair and is one of those frighteningly thin people whose skin is stretched taut over a too visible skeleton. What will you do? I write back, insisting that I mean no harm and proceed to move on with my life. I offer to meet Tammy over coffee, without Miku, to show I'm not a bad person. No, she might kill me. I offer to show Miku to Tammy. No, she might kill Miku. Alert the police to Tammy. It was a death threat. Looks like it's kill or be killed. Tonight, please seek and destroy. I ignore this person. She's pretty hardcore. Elite the police, or can I ignore her? Or write back? I think I'm just going to write back, insisting that I mean no harm. You write back to Robot Obsession 1987, explain that Miku is actually quite friendly once you get to know him. You thank Robot Obsession 1987 for her concern, not revealing that you know her true identity, and send off your email hoping for the best. You check the time on your phone. You should probably get something to eat before your meeting with Professor Ziegler. Miku, I have to meet Professor Ziegler. Stay here. Miku is watching Love Actually as you pass through your living room. Be on the lookout for Love Master. Miku calls after you. It can happen when you least expect it. Aww. Alright, I'm going to stop there, and maybe I'll maybe I'll continue some other day. But it's pretty fun so far. I'm having a good time.